Today, we finally got the Sektor trailer for Mortal Kombat 1, and although there was a ton of different story stuff in that trailer, that ain't what this video's about. We're going to go over the moves as often as we can and go into a whole bunch of detail to give a clearer look as to how this character is actually going to play in the MK1 expansion. So, with all that said, let's jump into the new era of Sektor and find out just how many moves are returning and how many are completely new. The first thing we see is a combo string that looks like it puts Sektor into an airborne state. From this airborne state, Sektor goes for an airborne rocket launcher, and that isn't the last time we see that move in this trailer, but it's very clearly an air special, so similar to like an Ermac or something similar, I'm guessing that this string right here puts you into an airborne situation of which you can do airborne specials from it. After we see the juggle from the rocket launcher, we see the return of Sektor's old forward 3 from Mortal Kombat X. That's the advancing kind of low heal attack. I'm gonna guess it's a low in this game because it does hit pretty low to the ground, but as far as attack direction goes, you don't really know until the character's actually out in the open. Now, after this low lands, the next normal absolutely looks like an overhead. It's very slow, very exaggerated, and this is kind of what overheads tend to look like. But again, without knowing the full details, we're only speculating, but I'm guessing it's going to be a standing overhead. It has a basic knockdown on hit, however, I'm guessing you can extend this with cameos, and even someone like Movado is likely going to pick this up into a combo, but that's just an early speculation. Afterwards, we see a simple 2-hit that looks like it could be one of the higher damaging combo strings if you're going for a punish or something. It confirms into Goro, where you have that kind of flip animation that goes into air extenders, and from this airborne state, we see a couple of airborne strings, but we also see a float attack that allows you to extend into more, and that's not the first time we've seen the float in these trailers. And the final move looks like another air special, an airborne charge, a dash attack. This is something, again, that Sektor had in Mortal Kombat X, so some of these moves are definitely coming right back from 2016. By the way, shoutouts to the original Sektor win pose from MK3, that is the summon animation, it seems. Once the air dash lands, it's the return of the same grab animation we saw in the Chaos Reigns announcement trailer. The one thing I want to highlight here is the grab animation kind of seems similar to an Ermac, where it's a little bit harder to see what's going on, so this grab may be a little bit harder to tech. It doesn't have a standard animation. Alright, there's quite a lot to uncover in this next clip. Sektor does a grounded launcher in the form of what looks like an enhanced missile. It's when she crouches down and they fire from the back, and we see this multiple times in the trailer that it's clearly a grounded confirm that you can launch, right? You can launch, see it happen, and then you get this big juggle. After the big juggle, a airborne string looks like it could be like a 1-1-2 or a 2-1-2. It's got a ground bounce, but it can also be special cancelled. This is where we see what looks like an EX air rocket, where Sektor flies to the other side and does a attack follow-up. This is extended by the cameo extender, in this case it's the Jack's backbreaker, and even in this one clip we can see quite a few little different combo pathing options, whether it's the grounded missile launchers, it's going for the ground bounce of 2-1-2, extending it with an air special. There's a lot of potential here already. Here's where some potential mix-ups come into play. Sektor ends this combo with an up missile. Now it looks like they do have their own set trajectory, again, kind of similar to previous up missiles, but we do see a homing missile later. And the meaty option is what looks like a low, but it's not just a low, it seems. Slowing the footage down, there are two different hit indicators, the kick and then the kind of exhaust blast into an ender. So I'm wondering, A, is this going to be a low, which means is there low overhead? I'm not sure. And B, does Sektor have a single button armor break? If that is the case, that's also going to be dangerous, and the knockdown that follows from this low kick is a simple knockdown that once again looks like cameos can extend. I'm really thinking that Movado might be a pretty interesting day one pick for this character, and definitely something I'm going to try. Before we get into more Sektor stuff, a new cameo move is shown in the form of Jax. I don't know how this is going to work, but there is some armor involved. Jax comes in, intercepts the opponent's cameo, and goes for the classic gotcha grab. So I'm going to guess this move is cameo only in regards to who Jax is going to target, but this could be a pretty crazy move if it intercepts the opponent's cameo. I don't know how the armor works yet, but we'll have to wait and see later this month. On the meaty, Sektor goes in for a combo string, and it looks like she confirms into a special move launcher. Now, it has a similar animation to Sektor's old teleport uppercut, but the launch portion of this seems to come from on the way down this time over. This does look like a special move, so I'm guessing it is just a hit confirm into launch and then she lands on the other side. However, when the opponent is already in the air, those grounded missiles come back and provide even more juggle potential. I think this launcher itself, the missiles, could be pretty important for extending these juggles and keeping the height nice and high. Afterwards, looks like maybe a 1-1-2 knockdown or something similar, something with a splat animation, a lot of knockdown frames and good distance covered, where if she does have range, could be a pretty decent tool to have. This next clip is a bit hard to follow because she's already committed to a move when it cuts to her. It's kind of like a rising knee into an ender that Sonya's square wave extends, allowing this float to be cancelled from it. This float that we've seen a few times now. Now, this rising knee could either be an ender to a combo string, it could be its own special move, or it could be the meterless version of Sektor's uppercut that I think was enhanced in the previous clip. So there's a few different questions here, none of which we know for sure, but what we do know is that she can confirm into the hover for more extenders. The ender to this combo is a simple air string that once again is special cancelled into the rocket launcher, and that's kind of just the end of the combo. A big thing to note is that on the ground, we see the straight missile rocket launcher come through, and important to point out that when this hits, it knocks the opponent on the ground. This is something that Sektor's missile has always done. Sometimes it's mid, sometimes it's high, but the knockdown means that you're always going to have the advantage in a zoning war because you're staying on the ground and they're not. They get knocked to the floor. Again, can you use cameos to extend? Can Movado turn this into a full combo? On the meaty, we see the up missile come back, the white flash indicating that an enhanced move has been used, and as you'd expect, the up missile becomes the smart missile with a cheeky little Lin Kuei logo instead of the target lock icon. This is self-explanatory, it tracks the opponent, it hits them, it allows a full combo. This is something it's always done, and it's cool to see that she has all of it back. On hit, Sektor confirms into another move that involves her dropping down on the other side and launching. So I'm really not sure what kind of moves this extends from, because sometimes she does this on its own, sometimes she does it at the end of something like a missile. So is she going to have some unique 2-in-1 properties? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But on hit, she goes into the upwards missiles again, the one that causes the clusters, and the knockdown combo that follows shows that there is no knockdown. The flame burner comes back, and it looks like it's been enhanced, and as you can see, it's a restand situation. So gameplay-wise, very much kind of looking like a combination of MKX and 9 together with what moves that she has, and it's a pretty cool mix, I tell you that. The flamethrower looks incredibly plus on hit, and this is where we see the float on its own. This float move is something that Sektor has never had. It clearly goes over low attacks, and the more floats you do in one combo, it looks like it costs you meter to do so. There are other combos in this trailer that have used a second float, and she has flashed white, indicating that meter has been spent. So is this going to be a source of mix-ups? Empty float into low, maybe? A lot of different characters in Mortal Kombat that have this kind of move, it tends to be one of their most important attacks. However, unlike a Homelander flight or something similar in previous games, this doesn't go very far, so I'm wondering, is it going to be point blank only? Is it only going to be used in combos? This could be the ticket to piecing all of her offense together when you add everything else to it. The question's going to be, how meter intensive are these sequences going to be in the long run? Now, we finished the trailer with the finishing moves and the fatal blow. I can't actually talk about the fatal blow here because we didn't see what the startup animation looks like. We see kind of going into it, and then it cuts immediately to the fatal blow animation. So I don't know if it's a projectile, whether it's full screen, whether it's close range only, whether it's a grab, who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But that is the gameplay of Sektor so far. A lot of range potential, a ton of combo potential, but a lot more possible setup than I was expecting. These up missiles, the smart missiles, all of the mobility options, the float, the air charge, all of it pieced together is going to create a character that could very well feel like you took MK9 Sektor, an MKX Sektor, and chucked that character in a blender with a couple of new things on top. Very similar to what they've done with Cyrax, to be honest with you. And from a gameplay sense, I am very excited to see what we're working with. There's a whole bunch of different cameos that could work with this character just on first impressions. I'm going to try Movado. I think Darius could be pretty cheap as well. Sektor sounds fun, but you might end up with kind of diminishing returns. If you already have all of this missile business and these combo potential, you might not need Sektor cameo to get that. So I'm going to be trying out Movado definitely day one. And overall, I was very impressed with what we've seen. There's a lot more classic gameplay than I was expecting. Thank you for watching this video, everybody. If you want to stick around for more MK where that came from, by all means do so. It's going to be a busy month with Chaos Reigns right around the corner. And take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Keep playing, keep having fun, and I'll catch you later.